Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to another day of 30 days of Halloween. I really hope you're enjoying them so far. I'm having so much fun doing them. So I'm going to hop on into this one, which is going to be my top slasher films that you either want to watch in the future for Halloween or just in general, because I think slasher films are one of the best types of horrors you can watch, because it's like you're so on the edge of your seat. I love when it's a mystery and you're like, who's doing this? Is there a motive behind it? And I've got some, well, as I was like googling some ones that I might have watched but forgotten about but I know I loved, I realised on YouTube there's not many videos saying what's the best ones to watch out there, and there are some really good underrated ones out there which I really want to tell you guys about, because you know, that's what Halloween's about. This is what I do on Halloween. Me and my family, we have a huge Halloween feast and we choose a couple of Halloween films that we have not watched before and we watch them, and that's basically what we do. I know it might be a strange one to do for Halloween but it's like a family tradition. So I hope you really enjoyed this like explanation of ones that I have seen, and if you have seen any of them, please let me know which ones you've seen and what your thoughts on it, and I really hope this is a very useful, informative video for you guys. So I'll start with the ones that I haven't physically got or have gone missing, because some of these I do know I have but I don't know where I've popped them. So the first is Halloween H2O. I know for some people the original Halloween is a classic to them and they hold it dear, but I know for teens and adults of this era, young adults, they probably won't fancy it as much, but Halloween H2O is an amazing film. You don't have to watch any of the others for you to get the premise of this one, because it kind of at the beginning goes back into what happened and you're not lost, because basically Halloween H2O means it's 20 years after a specific event has happened. Of course Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, Michelle Williams is in it. It's got a huge big cast in this one, I have to say. And basically it's set in, I don't know if it is California, but it's like a private school, very and she is still dealing with the aftermath of what happened to her previously. Of course, like anyone would, it would be personal trauma of the man that is believed to be her brother that does want to kill her, believe it or not. And they think now they kind of are in the clear, but he's found her in a sense. She doesn't believe if it's something she's making up in her head or he truly has found her. So it's really interesting, because now she has a son which she swore to protect with her life. She's very overbearing with him. He's wanting to break away from the chains, but as this is so happening, he is getting closer and closer to them at this school, and it's the most amazing chases. You have your heart in your mouth. I remember I took this to a friend's sleepover and everyone was like screaming at the TV. It was like such a good experience for everyone. I feel like everyone enjoyed it. So that is a very good one to watch. We then have Terror Train. This also has Jamie Lee Curtis in, because as I come to a bit later in Scream, it is stated that she is the queen of slashers. She is the mother grail of them. If you know she's going to be in it, you know it's going to be good. And in Terror Train, basically, it's a little bit like what you might have heard of before. A prank goes wrong with teens. 7 or so years later, they are graduating and they decide to have a costume party on a train. And basically, the guy in which they did the prank on wants to come and get his revenge. It's a very good one, I have to say. Even though it's done in the 80s as well, I commend them to it, because it's an awesome slasher film. If you haven't seen it yet, it's truly really good. And I think it's interesting, like, because the killer changes his costume each time he does a kill, so you don't know when he's going to strike, who is going to do it to. And it is truly a really good slasher. We then have April Fool's Day. This is another quite retro feel, old slasher, but still super good. I remember watching this with my mum and it had a really good like combination of comedy and horror, and basically a group of friends again decide to go to a cabin for a weekend which one of their friends owns, and she is a practical joker. She takes it to the extreme, and they believe people are getting killed off. Well, people are getting killed off on screen, but they're like, oh, they're probably going to play a joke on us at some point, sometime. They're like, it's very like paranoia of sorts, because they're trying to figure out where they're going to strike, if it is real or fake. And it's a very, very good one, and I believe it has one of the best endings I've seen for a slasher film, because sometimes with horror films the endings can ruin it, they can bring it down, but when you find one that has such a good ending, it helps to make the film overall memorable for you. So that really is a good one. If you're wanting a comedy slash horror, that is a very, very good one. Then there is Final Girls. This came out in 2016, and I am so surprised hardly anybody talks about this, because it is such a good movie. So it's done so visually pretty as well. It's like, once you if you watch the trailer, you'll get a good feel of how pretty it is done. So a young girl, her mum was in a cult classic film from the either 70s, I want to say 70s, yes. She was in a cult classic horror film, but she only did it to like make ends meet. She was running low on funds, and from that she's become a struggling actress. And sadly, the young girl and her mum are in the car, and she gets into a car accident and her mother passes away. And it follows a couple of years later on, her friends ask her to go see, because it became such a cult movie, they were having like a nighttime showing at their local cinema, and she really doesn't want to go because of course her mum's in it and she doesn't really feel it's the best evening to spend. But this is when it gets interesting, because she somehow they convince her to go, and whilst they're in the cinema a huge fire breaks out, and it ends up being into that movie. So they're actually put into the whole of the movie which they are watching, and it's like a Friday the 13th style horror film. Like, it's at a camp, there's a guy, prank goes wrong, he comes back for revenge, and it is a super good movie. It has also really good actors in it, which you'll know by just looking at their faces, because you'll probably know them. And it's also a good comedy and horror mix. Like, we actually really enjoyed it, and not many people talk about it, and I think it's a different concept of a horror film, and it's very intriguing to see if they're able to find a way out of this. Okay, The House of Wax. This one came out in 2005. Another one which I didn't hear much about, but I was very intrigued by. I don't know why, but when I watched it, I had low expectations, and I don't know why. I don't know why that happened, but it was so intriguing. So if you haven't heard about it, I believe it's done on a remake, but the new one is really good. And a group of friends, they're on the way, I don't know if they're camping or on the way to a specific event, and their car breaks down. The worst thing that can happen. So as they're going to look for gas, they found a town that's completely deserted. There's nobody around. There's like mannequins of people, but no people, which is very strange. They go in looking for gas, and it turns out not to be so simple, as somebody who is there doesn't want them to be there, and he makes it very clear. And it is a very intriguing horror film, another one with a very good ending, and it's a very good chase between the killer and the poor guys that are in this film. And I would say, because these are slashers, I have a particular taste when it comes to horror. I'm not a fan of full-on gore. This is why these are really good ones if you're just starting out in horror, because I'm not a fan of all-out gore. But I would say in this one, specifically, because Paris Hilton is it, specifically her death scene is one that you'll watch between your fingers, because it is quite bad. I just want to give you a warning, and I will give you a warning with any of these if I find them quite like like something you would want the heads up on, because I would appreciate that. But honestly, don't let me put you off with that, because it is honestly such a good movie and very intriguing. Okay, and then there is Sorority Row. This came out in 2009, and this was a bit, well, I enjoyed it. Like, I think it's a good one to watch with friends, this one. So I also believe this is a remake as well. I haven't seen the original to know if it's good as well, but basically I'm kind of like, some of these do follow similar premise, but trust me, they're all very different. So a group of girls in a sorority, of course, have a end of year party, but someone is out to get them one by one. Some of these killings are quite strong, well, how to put this, some of these are quite brutal at times. Like, oh, are they? I believe one of them is very brutal, if I was to say so. If someone goes into a masseuse chair, watch between your fingers on that one. But it is also a really good one. It's very good whodunit. It reminds me a bit of like Pretty Little Liars, but very extreme Pretty Little Liars. It gives that kind of feel to it, like, because they're all close-knit. They all have secrets. Someone is trying to bring them down one by one, and the thing is, who's doing it? A bit like an A, basically. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the ones that I have got with me. I've not heard many people talk about is Cry Wolf. This came out in 2005, so it's quite an old one, to be honest, and it has Ren from Pretty Little Liars in, and also Gerard, let me think how to say his second name, I can't find him, Palacky from Supernatural, who plays Sam. Also adore him. So basically, our Ren goes to a British boarding school. He has been kicked out from previous ones for basically not following the rules. So as he goes to this one, he gets in the wrong crowd of people, and I don't know if it's before he comes or when he comes, there is a murder of a girl in the woods, and these guys think it will be such a cool idea, but it turns out not to be such a cool idea, to put a story online centering around the person that has done this to the poor girl in the woods is a serial killer, and he's going to get more victims, and they put a whole story behind it to make it solid. But they have a teacher who is John Bon Jovi. John Bon Jovi is in this film, and he tells them, I don't think he sees what they've put online because they do it anonymously, but he talks to them about the negatives of online predators online, and then they start to second guess and think maybe we should bring it down. But now the people that they have listed as victims in this start to die in real life. Someone's taken this story and really gone with it, and then they start to turn on them one by one. So it's a very good storytelling of the actual Cry Wolf story, because now they wanted this to happen and it actually happens, and no one's going to believe them that they're doing it because of this, essentially. And it is a truly good film and a very good edge on your seat. It even says it's ingenious on the back, and it is truly. If you haven't seen this one, definitely look this one. Hey, I know this is going against the rules quite a little bit because it's a TV show, but it makes sense, truly, because I really want to involve this in it because it's like a movie. It's so edge on your seat. This, well, I think my mum introduced me to this quite a while ago. 2009 this came out, I believe, and I think it was on ITV, and it was called Whitechapel. Now, it is truly an amazing show. This also, I would have to say, is very ingenious because it's so cleverly done. It's so amazing. We think it got cancelled after the 3rd series or 4th, and that made me very sad because I enjoyed this so much. So basically, in the 1st series, I think there's only like 3 episodes. You're right in there. There's only like 3 episodes, and in this story, someone is replicating, copycatting the Jack the Ripper murders in our society in London, in the same places that happened, and it's very historical too, because you get to find the ins and outs of the original Jack the Ripper case, as well as having a modern twist on it. They make it so good, and it's following the detectives behind the case that is trying to figure out who it is and try and get a couple of steps in front of them, but it turns out that it's not that easy. And the second series was done on The Craze. That was also a very good series, but the Jack the Ripper one is very slasher feel. It is very like trying to catch smoke with your hands with Jack the Ripper. If you know the story of Jack the Ripper in the past, you'll know how much of a twist and turns case that was, and this is an awesome series if you're wanting to watch something very different but historical. I think this one would be an amazing one for you, and definitely check these out because it's an amazing TV show, and I'm so sad they cancel it, but you have to see it to know what I mean, how amazing this is. I don't know if many of you will know this one. I'm surely know you have. But my next one is I Know What You Did Last Summer. This was one of my favourite movies ever. Another one I took to my friend's house for a horror movie night. They didn't actually know much about it, which I'm so surprised with because I thought it was a really well known one. So basically really big stars in it. Sarah Michelle Gellar, which is my Buffy idol, Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Felipe, amazing. So they've basically finished high school this night. Like, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, she became queen of the town, so they're having a really good night celebrating, as teenagers do. Sadly, one of them has too much to drink, and as they're driving back home, they run over a person. And it's the turmoil of what goes down when this happens, because you've got your logical people that are saying we need to call the ambulance, we need to call the police, we need to get help, and then there's other people thinking there's alcohol in this car, you know we're going to be touched to prison, we're just starting our lives, we are going to college, we can't do that. So it is very realistic, and it's like, if you were put in that situation, what would you do? And so they essentially put his body in the sea and they try and live their lives. But a year later, they all come back after being at college for a year. Some people have been, some people haven't been. Their dreams have been tarnished from this one event, and when they come back for this 1 year, someone is haunting them. They don't know if it's someone that knows what happened that summer, or if he himself, who they ran over, is back. Like, he survived and he is wanting revenge. It is truly an amazing film, and it's set in a seaside town, so it's very beautiful and very, I always say Larry for nautical stuff, because if you remember in Jaws, the mayor was called Larry and he had the most amazing nautical suits all the time. That's why I always say Larry when it comes to nautical. So I thought a little disclaimer there, because it probably didn't make any sense and I always say it. So it is an amazing movie, and there's a kick-ass chase that gets you so on the edge of your seat when Sarah Michelle Gellar is trying to find someone to help her at the parade. That's all I'll say on that one, but truly an amazing film. It's very underrated, is Valentine. Now, again, follows a bit similar premise that you should not prank people, because if you prank people, something bad like this might happen. So I think this happens at Valentine's dance, like what they have in America, when these couple of girls are young and there is a poor young boy that is like the target of every bully's demise. And at this Valentine's dance, one of the girls does something that makes the bullies retaliate even more on this poor boy, and ends up traumatizing for life, basically. But it follows the girls as they grow older, and someone is hunting them down one by one. Again, is it the person that was pranked, or is it someone else that's come into their lives? And it is an awesome whodunit. It is very like Scream. It has amazing people like Denise Richards, Katherine Heigl, and my favourite guy, Angel from Buffy, David Boreanaz. So it is also one that I haven't heard many people talk about, but it's an extremely good one, I would say. It doesn't have that much in terms of gore in it. It is very, like, very scary, but it doesn't go over the board. Very, very good one. Very Scream inspired, I believe, as well. Very, very good one to watch on Valentine's Day too. If you don't want to be in the lovely sort of mood, good one to watch. Also, I don't think many people have heard of this, and it is called Urban Legend. I believe there was 3 films. I haven't seen the 3rd one, but the first Urban Legend and the second Urban Legend Final Cut I have seen and adore. So basically, this one takes a different premise to all the other ones I've talked about, which is why I love it so much. So it follows a group of college students that are, they're just very up-to-date. Well, they're doing a course at uni, which I would have loved to have took, based around urban legends. And basically, urban legends are like stories that have been told and passed through time and changed and been morphed into something that you don't know if it's made up or not, but someone is taking these urban legends and bringing them into life, and it's an amazing movie. It also has great chase scenes, I have to say. Really big people in it. Do I want to say Jared Leto? Because I'm going to say Jared Leto. It's in the first one, trust me, and he's gorgeous. And it's very good who done it, and why they're doing it. Is there a motive behind it? And it also gives you insight into urban legends that have happened in the past, because I find them very intriguing, urban legends. I don't know why, I just do. And then the second one is at a film college, and follows the same premise of someone's trying to recreate them and who is doing it. So they're very, very good films. A very good mystery, horror, slasher film. This one too much because I could talk about it all day, because it is my favourite horror series, and that is Scream. I don't know where I've got the other ones. I've only seemed to have the 4th one here, but I do have them all. And when I first watched this, I don't know why, because I was quite young, there was something about it that I was so intrigued with and so enthralled by the whole story and the characters. I watched it so many times, it became like, even though it's not a relaxing film, it came to be one of my favourites to watch any time of the day, any day of the week, truly. And if you haven't seen this yet, oh my goodness, I wish I could not have seen it just to watch it now, just to experience it all again, because it is so good. And they all follow the same characters, which I like, because some films, they tend to bring new characters in and it changes the whole dynamic of it. But of course, high school kids, a poor girl is prank called in the middle of the night, which is Drew Barrymore. Iconic scene I would ever know of. And basically they ask her 2 questions, and if she gets one of those 2 questions wrong, they're going to kill her, basically. And it is the start of the whole crisis of the curfew of the town, and there is a method behind the madness of this one. There are so many iconic scenes in this, and I adore it to death. The whole Scream quadrilogy, I want to say quadrilogy, I don't know if I made it up because it's 4 films, is amazing. Can't praise it enough. It's just that amazing and good. And as you see, if I had to choose a favourite, it might have to be the second one, because of how many as you see its moments it is. But if you haven't seen it yet, you need this on your list for Halloween, truly do. This was a remake. I watched the first one and didn't like it as much as this one. It's quite different in terms of what happens in it, but When a Stranger Calls is a very good, it's simple but elegant, straight to the point slasher film. Basically it is an urban legend, this, based around a girl babysits for a neighbour, and through the night she gets calls by someone that she believes is prank calling her, but he's trying to scare her beyond pranking and is going a bit over the top with it. And basically in the one conversation she tells the person to leave her alone, and then he says he's with the children upstairs, and it's all about trying to get the children's safety, and a huge cat and mouse game of him trying to find her. It's just such a simple but masterful film, and the house is very intriguing. It's very modern, and it has very modern takes on things, and it helps make the story more interesting than just being at a normal house. You'll understand when you see it. It is a very good horror film. If you wanted something simple and hasn't got horrific gore scenes in it, it doesn't, this one. This is a very good starter one, I would have to say. And yeah, it's truly a straight out of the mill slasher film. Cats. Now this is quite an old one, as you can see from the DVD case. It is like a really old film, and this came out in 95, which was the year I was born, and it follows Sigourney Weaver. And how can I explain this in a short paragraph? Would be, one man is copying the most notorious killers in history one at a time. Together, two women must stop him from killing again, or they're next. Basically, yeah, that's what it follows, and it is a very good film, very good slasher film. It's very intriguing to have an insight into quite famous serial killers too that you might not know much about, which I know for some people might not be up their street, and I totally understand that. But I believe it's really an intriguing one, and Sigourney Weaver, she's such an amazing actress. I could watch her at anything and she's just gold. She's like Jamie Lee Curtis, and she does so well in this horror film. And if you're wanting one that's very like a crime scene thriller, very CSI, like the collections of, I've forgotten what I'm talking about. But it's a very, very good film. And yes, it's very like they're put into pieces what is, who it could be. It could be anybody in their community, and is there a reason behind what they're doing it for. So it's a very, very good. I hope you enjoyed like my synopsis of slasher films that I believe are underrated, not talked about enough, but I believe you should watch for Halloween. If you're intrigued by any of these and not so sure yet, maybe watch the trailers on some of them. I find that's a very good way to have an insight into the film. And let me know what you think, and if you have seen any of these, I would love to have a discussion with you below about what you like about them. If you don't like them, feel free, because everyone has their own opinion on films, and especially horror films, because sometimes they cross the boundaries that some people don't like. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of gore, but I think these are not so bad when it comes to that, and I want you on some places that there might be a bit of that. But I really, really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next episode of Hollieween.